I bake you things, I make you food, you come over to my house. You're welcome. Last time I looked like a toenail. Just gonna go cry now. My name's Carol.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. I hope you will like and subscribe and check out the link to my website in the description box below. That way you can book an appointment with me and I can get to know you. So today I'm meeting with Carol, who is a 2-wing 3. She's a social 2 and she's an ENFP. We're going to be going over a few interview questions and she's just going to be open and honest with you. We already filmed this video one time, but technical difficulties. So here it is again, me and Carol. Let's get into it. Hello Carol, how are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good, and thank you for doing this video over again with me.
I'm glad I have better lighting this time. Last time I looked like a toenail.
Yes, you look gorgeous, you look gorgeous. Okay, Carol, how did you discover what type you are?
Lots of personality test type things, like different versions of the Enneagram test. I first found out, it was when I was in Arizona, the beginning of the semester. And I kind of put it like off because people would be like, oh, you should take it. And I took it, and I took like 3 or 4 tests, and they all kind of came back with the same result, 2 and 3. So I was like, okay, well, if like 4 different places are telling me that this is what I am, this is probably what I am. And then I started to see, like, as I researched it more, like, yep, kind of like, I see that in myself kind of thing.
Yeah, and how do you notice your wing in your everyday life?
I think that comes out a lot in work. I love being around new people. I'm an extrovert. I thrive on that. But in work, I'm younger than most of the staff, just in general at my church. And so being able to kind of have a personality that's like bigger than what I feel that I am has been really helpful in building confidence at work. And, in regards to projects, there's one that we're working on right now where I can definitely see that wing coming in as I'm talking to leadership about this project, and being able to be excited about it and be engaging about it. And, because internally I'm like, very quiet, like, this is actually terrifying. I hate everything that's happening right now because I'm stressed. But like outside, it's like a mask. Like I can just kind of see that as like a protection mechanism, I guess. Mm-hmm. It's like a fake confidence until I really feel comfortable, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's where I see it the most. I do see it in other things, like in regards to when I have people over. I really feel like I play into a lot of stereotypes with like the host or hostess kind of title of a 2-wing 3, because I'm always like, okay, here's all the food. I bake these really extravagant cupcakes because I just love you guys, and here, everyone have a good time. Here's like the great music playlist I spent 4 days making. That's literally what I do, and it's what I did in high school. So when I told my friends about, oh, this is like the Enneagram, this is what my personality type is, they all kind of came back with the same thing of like, yep, you did that every time we came over. It's kind of ridiculous. Like, sorry.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I offended you with my love.
Yeah, like I bake you things, I make you food, you come over to my house. You're welcome. Bethany baked banana bread, so I've held off because, Mom said only one dessert at a time. But we've had so much banana bread, so I think it's fine if I bake something at the same time.
Okay, what are your 3 best qualities?
What was wild is after we had our first video, we talked about this in like some meetings that I've been having, just kind of like casual conversation. So it gave me more time to think about it. Because I'm not really good at highlighting things that I like about myself. I'm working on it. But I think one of the things that I would consider a really good quality of mine that I'm still working on, like I'm not perfect at it, but I think I've gotten a lot better at reading people's emotions and knowing when to say something, and that kind of goes into communication. My communication skills have improved, and these kind of go like hand in hand. Knowing when to say something, when to not say something, what to say versus what not to say. Those two kind of go together, and like reading people. And then, what's the third one be? it's nothing about my personality, but I think I'm a really good like baker. Like, I think I make really good desserts. I guess I like that skill about myself because it all comes from a place of I want to do it for other people. Like, yes, I love sweet things. I have a big sweet tooth, but I think it's so fun to make something with my hands for someone else, whether it's food or like I've been doing embroidery hoops and making those. Like, I just made my friend a Buzz Lightyear one. And so, yeah, making things, crafting, those kind of like tangible hobbies, I guess that would be it.
And I think with the two, the functions of the two is feeling, doing, and then thinking. And so you have this kind of like need to show your love in a way that you can actually show it, instead of where maybe a 4 whose functions are going to be thinking, feeling, thinking, then doing. They're kind of going to want to sit down with you and tell me about your life. Tell me about all the bad things that have happened in your life. Or 2 might come over and be like, honey, it's okay. You don't have to think about all the bad things in your life anymore. I got you this thing. I made you this thing. I got you this. And, you know,
Yep.
Yeah, they're very much more physically expressive with their love, not necessarily with like, I don't mean touching, but just with, like, let me demonstrate like acts of service.
Yeah.
Love.
Think about like love languages of what I receive versus what I give. I definitely will I'll predominantly do acts of service for other people. It's in my head, it's like what makes the most sense. Like, I'm showing you how much I care about you. In the moment where I'm feeling all the emotions, let me do something, let me make something, let me occupy my time so that I can step back from a situation and then process it. That's generally, and I think I see myself doing that for other people, or trying to do that for other people. Does not always work.
Yeah, but you know, try and try again. Okay. What makes you feel the most confident and the most insecure?
The most insecure would be new social situations. Again, I'm an extrovert. I love being around people. And I guess it's not the social situation in and of itself. It's more of how I react to it. I am very aware because people pointed it out in not so nice ways, probably trying to be helpful, but I know that I do talk a lot. It's just the family that I'm from. Like, we are very vocally expressive. We're loud, we're crazy. And I think it's normal, but other people didn't get raised that way, and that's fine. But again, people pointing it out is probably not the nicest. But in new social situations, I tend to project a bigger version of myself. And in some ways, that's really great, especially when it comes to work. But I know that I can be a bit much. I feel more pressure in situations where I don't have to be involved, if that makes sense. Like in work, when I'm presenting a project or discussing things with other coworkers, you know, like I know that I have to be involved with that conversation. So my conversation is focused. When I'm in like for example, my small group, my first few weeks in there, I knew that I was a bit much because I didn't know how to contribute to the conversation, but I feel the need to. So I feel very insecure in those situations because I'm very conscious of what I'm doing, but I can't stop myself from doing it. So yeah, that would probably be the area I'm most insecure. And the area that I think I'm the most confident in, what makes me feel the most confident, I think, would be whenever I'm with my friends. Like, I kind of feel like sometimes my friends are my security blanket because I'm so insecure about when I'm in meeting new people and trying not to be overwhelming, trying not to be whatever I'm feeling in the moment. If I have people like Grace or Amanda, my friends Carrie, Ashley, or Abigail, if I have any one of those people, I feel safe and I feel that I can be my actual self, whether that's, you know, in a work environment or whatever. Like, I feel comfortable and I feel most confident when I have someone to kind of give me confidence, because I feel like that's an area that I lack in myself. Which I also, kind of going back to the acts of service, I feel like that's why, because I have this need for people to like me in a way. And that's a lot of the times I will do something for someone that I'm not super close with as like a bid to be like, hey, here's what I have to offer you as a friend. I will make you food and we'll go spend quality time together and everything's great. Because I'm nervous. I feel like I have to make people like me, which is kind of where like the talking a lot comes from. So I feel the most confident when I have a physical representation of a security blanket.
Yeah, people that you can trust and you know, you don't have to prove yourself because you are, Okay, what does your inner critic tell you?
I kind of hit on it obviously a little bit before. I went off on a bit of a tangent, but I am very self-deprecating. I don't allow myself to be proud of things that I've done or qualities that I inherently have. I don't know how to take a compliment. Like when someone was saying really nice things about the project, my coworker and I have been working on, like we both kind of were just like, thanks. Like I cringe. Like I don't know how to do that. So my inner critic is often, it's like my inner critic is very often telling me like, you are not blank enough. Fill in the blank for whatever context it's in. Or I am too much blank. So again, social situations, you are too loud, you are too talkative. And then when I shut down, well, now you're too quiet, everyone thinks you're mad. Like there's never, my inner critic's a pendulum that never hits a middle. Like I'm either too much or I'm too little. And there's never a, no, you're actually just the perfect amount of each of these things.
Like you said, you're 2-3, and sometimes you'll like not puff yourself up, but like you have this exterior that is harder for people to crack through, so it doesn't really hurt your heart as much, Like, I'm gonna put up this wall so you can't hurt me, but I'm still gonna give you, like, look at me on the screen, we're gonna be friends.
Yeah, it's definitely like I will have a wall up to protect myself. And I think in part that's a two's way of setting boundaries, because we have such a hard time setting boundaries. I know we mentioned it last time, like it's easier to set boundaries with people you just met versus people you've known for a while. So in a way, when I do put that wall up, it's sometimes subconscious. It's like a way of me gauging the other person, because usually when it happens, it's someone that I don't know yet. So it's like, can I let my guard down with you? Can I let you in? But like I'm still gonna like love you, but from like, a socially distant area.
I think that's really healthy too, because if you were to pour all of your love, affection, and attention and hopes and dreams into a new relationship and then it crumbles, that's not going to work out well for you. But if you can go into it with, I don't want to sound like depressing, but with low expectations, and then still give that love with no expectations of anything in return, then when it's reciprocated, you can truly appreciate it.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree. It's become very helpful. It's a skill that I did not have when I was younger. I was very much like a doormat. Like people could come in and out of my life as they pleased, and I just had to put on a brave face and pretend to be okay with it. And it took me a long time to figure out how to set boundaries. And there were people that were mad when I did. I had to realize they're mad because I'm no longer gonna just let them do whatever they want. To my heart, like that's not okay. And so, I guess like now when I meet new people, I will be engaging and I'll try to be charismatic as much as possible, and I will love you, but I will also not share my entire life story. Like,
okay, what is the best and the worst feeling?
The best feeling would be having something I did or worked on or have been a part of be recognized and appreciated. And then what I mean by that is not like, oh, Carol, thank you for all your hard work. It's people are enjoying what I did, whether they realize I was involved or not. So the example I gave last time was this project that we're working on is something that we're sending home with our parents. So if they post a picture of them doing some of the activities on social media, that's the best feeling. Like, oh, good. Like they loved it. They're having fun. They're making memories. My goal is accomplished. I'm like, yes, cool. They liked what I made. So when someone appreciates what I made, even if I don't get direct thanks, that's like pristine. Love that feeling. So good. And the opposite of that is the worst feeling, which is disappointing someone. I never, ever, ever want to disappoint someone, even if it's something like little. Like if someone didn't like an idea at work, they might say like, oh, you know, it's not you, it's like what our scale has to be. And that's super helpful in reminding that it's not personal. But part of me always takes it personal just because I feel like, oh no, like not that they don't like me or my ideas, but that I didn't do it right.
Yeah.
So my inner critic kind of comes in and be like, well, you should have done that better. Like, whatever. But
You're
that's
supposed to read their minds, Carol.
yeah,
Not
obviously that I failed at that.
selfish.
I'm the worst person. But it's like that little thing. Like if my mom were to say like, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed, I would curl up in a ball. I would be so mad. I'd rather her yell at me any day of the week. Honestly, if you're mad at me, just don't say the D word. Like, just don't, because I will die.
Yeah, and
I literally would curl up in a ball.
Yeah. What's funny is I already interviewed my mom, who's a 2-wing 1, and she gave very similar answers, and believe it or not, to the best and worst feeling, she gave very similar answers. At the heart of it, you're still a 2, even though you can market yourself very well. And my mom, who's a 2, when I ask her what are your 3 best qualities, she's like, can we please skip this question? I don't like it. And it's just funny to see how different you both are while still like at the core really having the same values.
Yeah, it's very minute differences, but there's still differences. So it's really fun when I talk to people about the Enneagram. It's like, it's not one size fits all, because clearly like Tracy and I, our wings are different, but then even other 2-wing 3s, like my dad is a 2-wing 3 and we are still like very different. Our motivations are generally the same, but how we express it and how we appear to other people manifests itself in different ways. Yeah, but it's so interesting. I love it.
And you're an ENFP, which if you read about ENFPs, it sounds like the description of a 7.
Yeah, which is wild. I mistype as a 7 a lot.
Yeah. People, I remember when you worked at a church, everyone was like, Carol, you're a 7. And you're like, no, I'm not. And they're like, yes, you are. And you're like, I promise I'm not a 7. I'm a 2. Guys, she's crying. She's not a 7.
I cannot control it. Like when like people do really nice things for other people on talk shows, I cry because I'm like, that's so great. They deserve it. Everything that's good in the world.
Look at other people showing other people love.
Like when Ellen gives people things, I cry almost every time because I'm like, yes, that's all I want to do with my life is I want to be the giveaway part of Ellen. Like that's what I want. Like that would be great.
Well, speaking of crying, what keeps you up at night?
I tend to mull over previous embarrassments. Like when I'm alone in my thoughts, I'm like, oh my gosh, that thing I did 5 years ago was ridiculous. I bet people still think about it. Like legit, that keeps me up at night in some cases. But other things I think that like really occupy my thoughts, spend a considerable amount of time thinking about. Like for example, with the pandemic, my mind is like, obviously, yes, people need to stay safe. Like I live with someone who's immune compromised. Like, you know, I want everyone to stay safe. But then I'm also thinking, oh my gosh, like these low income kids are not getting food. Like all the other things that come with a crisis stress me out because I'm like, in my head, I'm like, we need to do something. These kids aren't getting food. You know, what if their parents are out of work and they're going to be evicted. And so you're going to have all these homeless families all around who, you know, might not be collecting unemployment because that's taking forever. So like my mind will race and it'll go from like one thing to another thing, like not a logical train of thought when I get going. But yeah, like global crisis stresses me out. Like legitimately, I have stayed up at night Googling and researching specific things, whether it's like for Rafa House, for like which is, you know, again, in the fight against the global sex trade. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, like Florida is a really big hotspot. So like Jacksonville's a big hotspot. What's happening in Jacksonville? Like, how can I partner? Like I get panicked and then I just start Googling, like, how can I be involved? Like, what can I do? How can I, So it's very action-oriented stress, if that makes sense.
It sounds like, you feel this compulsion to do something and help. And so, your mind is jumping from one thing to the next of, I feel the need to help here. Or you're preparing and trying to figure out all the different places you can meet needs.
Yeah, like legitimately. Well, that was what I wanted to do for a career. Like I went into missions as a degree because I was like, I felt in middle school, like I watched the movie Bot, spelled BAHT, and it was my first introduction to like sex trafficking, and I was like, I felt like an innate compulsion, like I don't know how I'm going to be involved in this. I have to do something against, like, to help with this. Like I have the compulsion to go and do something, which then obviously led me to Johnson. And I was like, I want to be in the trenches with people and like tangibly do something, because, in my head, I'm like, I can post and tweet all day long, but if I don't physically do it with my hands, I'm not making a difference.
Mm-hmm.
I've since come to realize that there's a lot I can do from the distance. But at that time I was like, I have to physically do something. And now my job is kind of the same goal, but different way of doing it. Like I'm getting to work with kids, and some of them are low income kids, and our church as a whole gets to do that. So it's like I'm getting to do what I want to do, but in just a different context. So stuff like that, especially when it involves children, I am very much like, I have to tangibly do something. It's like a subliminal thing, like it's on me to fix a problem. And then when I found out that someone else has fixed it, I'm like, oh good, crisis averted. Like,
yeah. That's something that's so beautiful about twos is whether you're a two watching this and you're a male or a female, you're probably very maternal, at the church that you worked at when I was there. There's like 4 or 5 little old ladies that are all twos, and they're all best friends with each other. And it's just
so cute.
Because they're like, I don't know why you wouldn't just be nice. And I don't know why people just want to be nice. And like, that all twos have a good time being friends with each other.
I feel like I saw the other day, I was like, I know these are twos. You're driving through the parking lot and there's these little old ladies in this like circle of lawn chairs and like these parking spots that are doing floral arranging together.
Oh my goodness.
And just like talking about life, and just like you could see that they just love each other. And I'm like, I bet those are all flowers for someone else. Like $20 says those are going to like a hospital or a nursing home or people that they know. And I was like, that's what I want. I want to be part of your craft circle. Like I was obsessed.
Okay, what do you like to do to unwind?
Recently it's been a lot of reading. I'm reading a book called The Gift of Forgiveness by Catherine Schwarzenegger Pratt. Super good. So highly recommend. Catherine, if you see this, wanna be friends? A lot of it's also been obviously baking and doing stuff like that. I'm trying to be very conscious of doing things that fill me and like fill my heart, because I feel like it's super important to maintain a good level of emotional and mental well-being, especially when you're in ministry, because I don't think I can fill other people if I'm not being conscious of filling and taking time for myself. So I've been doing embroidery. So again, I've been making things for other people, but I've also been making things for myself, which is something I'm not really used to. But it's been really fun because I'm getting to like express myself and, I don't have to be limited by what I know that this person likes. I get to explore some of the things that I want to do in art and things. But also still doing stuff for the kids building at church, because I'm excited, because it's like, okay, every day is a day closer to getting back into my building with my kids. Like, so I'm doing projects like that to, spruce up the building and get them excited for when they come back. But yeah, I'm trying to do 1 or 2 things a day that are like, would be considered self-care, that I enjoy. So going outside for about half an hour and just reading a book and tanning for a bit. I don't get enough vitamin D, obviously. Or like going outside with my dog or doing my workouts at home, even if it's just 15-20 minutes to myself of doing something just for me. And then I can go back to, answering emails, doing meetings or baking or whatever for someone else. 15-20 minutes to myself is like golden. And that kind of varies with what I've been doing. So
Yeah, and that kind of leads us into the next point of how do you see your health and stress points, the 8 and the 4, show up in your life. And it makes me so happy hearing you say that, because I think the 2, 3, having that assertive wing, it makes it maybe a little bit easier for you to go take that time a little bit on your own and, care about your own goals and what does Carol want? What does Carol care about? Asking yourself those questions. But how do you see those health and stress points show up in your life?
I think it took quarantine to get me there, because I'm doing all my work at home, and I'm in my home, whereas before I was working from home, but I would be like, oh, I'm gonna go to Target, I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna go do that. But it's like I've been able to prioritize myself. And so, doing art projects, even if it's coming from a place of doing it for others, but getting to express myself in that. Like Bethany and I renovated our bathroom, like a DIY budget renovation, which was so fun because it's something that we wanted to do, we needed, and we got to do it together, and create this really nice space for us to use. And then, like the embroidery, and I've been organizing obsessively, and it's brought me so much joy. Cleaning out stuff and like organizing and making things flow more easily, because I know that my mom and dad don't have time to do it, but it's brought me joy because I also live in their space. The 8, I saw it the other day. It kind of comes and goes, like when I'm like really tired or really emotional, like, I feel really bad about it. And I did apologize, but Bethany's been learning to grill, and she's excellent at it. She did a great job. But when she was like, oh, I'm going to grill steaks for dinner because dad's not home, I was like, she's going to overcook the steak. I have to help her. Like, I have to do it. And I was being really aggressive and assertive in how I was talking to her, which she's an 8. Once I told her that, I'm like, you've never cooked them before. Like, to her, that's going to come across as, you're saying I can't do it. Now I'm going to do it out of spite because you told me I can't, and I'm going to do it great. And she did it great. But I was very much in that kind of stress point. I was tired. I was just, I don't know what it was about that day, but it was just not a good day. And I was like, I've done it before, so like I can show you how to do it. Like I was trying to very much control her, and like you cannot tell an 8 that they can't do something. Like that's cardinal rule number 1. Don't be dumb. But for me, it was coming from a very mean-spirited place, and I felt really bad about it afterwards. And she ended up doing a really good job and cooked them excellently, and like I would tell her to do it again. So tell her she can't do something, and she'll do it perfectly out of spite.
She becomes a 3 for a couple of minutes. Becomes a 1 because of the thermometer. Okay, Gordon Ramsay. Okay.
And she even got like the char. Like she even like went to the point where she got like the little grill longs, and I was like, whatever.
Yeah, I hate that I love you. Okay, last question. What are you tired of hearing people say about your type?
If people know you're a 2, they will generally ask you first to go do something. And like they're kind of expecting the yes. And that gets annoying after a while. Like it really does. Like, yes, I'm totally down to help you, but don't ask me just because you know or you think that I'll say yes. Because that's frankly taking advantage of me and my kindness, and I don't appreciate that. Luckily, I'm in a place where that's not an issue. My campus pastor, my boss, always gives me an out if there needs to be one, because he knows that I'll generally say yes to most things because I'm excited about ministry. But another thing that really irks me, and we talked about this, I had like a little mini rant last time, is perceiving that all women in the church should be a 2 or should aspire to be like a 2. I think that's very limiting on the gifts that God has given our women. And a lot of women have kind of been given the notion that that's, they should be a 2. I should be the helper. I should be that kind maternal person because that's who I've been told I need to be. It's like, but you don't want all the baggage that comes with it, the anxiety of disappointing people or the stress of not being able to set a boundary for yourself and feeling overwhelmed and tired because you take zero care of yourself personally. Self-care is not a thing that 2s are good at or that they prioritize. We will always prioritize other people, most always prioritize other people over ourselves. So on face value, who wouldn't want to be called the helper? But do you want all the stuff that comes with it, or do you just want to be known as that kind, maternal, sweet girl that is going to make a great wife someday. Like,
Well,
I'm not
yeah.
just made to be someone's wife. Like, I'm not. And I think that that perception, especially in the church, is very frustrating and is very just kind of like, it's so downing to me to hear, because I know the call that God's placed on my life. And yes, I want to be a wife and a mom, but that is not all that I've been created to be. Like, to tell me that that's all God's made for me is to try to usurp his authority over my life. And that's just not someone's place. So I get really tired of hearing that, obviously, because I'm getting heated.
Well, and I think that like no type on the Enneagram owns the characteristics of a 2, except for 2 has these naturally, inherently. But if you're a 5, and it might be really unnatural for a 5 to try to be this maternal figure, but they still can. And I know lots of 5s that are great moms. So like, even if you are a different type, people can be loving, other people can be kind, other people can be maternal. And, 2s, you're not only that, you have so many other qualities as well. Everybody, I think everyone has so much more depth. There's so many things that go into a person, and, people are so complex, but, they usually follow some easy patterns to see. And so, as a 2, it comes naturally for you to be this like, helper and this giver and this host, but that doesn't mean it's impossible or even unlikely for other people to also be helpful and also be giving and also, be loving and kind.
Exactly. Like, I think it's so limiting when people, like, that's the beauty of the Enneagram, is that it's not one size fits all, not just 2s and they like embody these qualities. It's a whole thing about growth and development and growing into a really healthy version of you, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And I think a lot of the times in the church, and like, obviously I love the church, I work in the church, but I think that that's something that we can learn from and we can grow with even more, like, is to not limit people to whatever their abilities are. So whether even if it's in like a spiritual giftings test, like, people are so much more than any of these tests say. And like, the Enneagram's a perfect example of that. A 2 and 3, like, I can look different than my dad. Like, you're gonna look different than someone with the same personality type as you, but the qualities that come naturally. But I think it's just so beautiful that we're all able to kind of grow in the qualities that we inherently have, but also grow into new qualities as we become healthy.
Yeah, become aware.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, Carol, so much for being in another video. Well, being in the first video that anyone's going to see, but being in a video with me. And, I think this will probably help some of the 2-wing 1s and 2-wing 3s kind of see themselves a little bit better, maybe feel a bit understood. And, I really appreciate it.
Anytime.
Hopefully not again, but
fingers crossed this works. But again, if it happens again, I'm available.
All right, thank you, Carol. Bye.
No problem. Bye.
Hey everyone, I hope this video was helpful and I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed getting to meet Carol. I'll have her social media linked below. That way you can kind of, check her out. Tell her she did a good job today. Feel free, and I'll see you guys soon in another video.